So this is the Target 5 homework from Unit 3. It's word problems. So we'll go ahead and get started with the first one. It says that you played in a basketball game in which you scored a total of 35 points. In the game, you made twice as many 2-point shots as you did 3-point shots. How many 2-point shots and 3-point shots did you make? So this is very similar to the one we did in the notes, just a slightly different. I'm going to go ahead and start by declaring my variables on the left-hand side. There's not a little heading for that, but I'm just going to do it anyway. So I'm going to say that my x are my 2-point shots. It's the first thing I saw, 2-point shots. So then I'm going to say that my y are my 3-point shots. All right. So then I have to go ahead and create some equations here. Well, I'm going to say that my first equation comes from this sentence right here. It says you made twice as many 2-point shots as you did 3-point shots. So if that kind of confuses you, go ahead and make a little table. And let's say that you made, keeping in mind the y is the 3-point shots and the x is the 2-point shots. Let's say you made 2 3-point shots. Well, if you made twice as many 2-point shots, you made 4. Let's say you made 10 3-point shots. Well, you actually then made 20 2-point shots. So you're just doubling the y. So one of my equations could be 2 times y is going to get me to my x's. I just multiply all my y's by 2 to get to my x. And that makes sense. I made twice as many 2-point shots as I did 3-point shots. My other equation is going to come from the total of 35 points. And I can't just say that x plus y equals 35 because each x shot is worth 2 points and each y shot is worth 3 points. So I have to create it like this. 2x plus 3y equals 35. Because x actually represents 2 points per shot and then y represents 3 points per shot. So I have to be careful with that. So there's my two equations. So I'm going to go ahead and start this by saying, okay, well, this is really set up pretty well for substitution. If I know that x is 2y, I'm going to go ahead and sub that in right here for my x in that equation. So I'm going to say that this becomes 2 times 2y plus 3y equals 35. Then I'm just going to multiply this through. I'm going to say that this is 4y plus 3y equals 35. And this becomes 7y equals 35. When you divide this by 7, you get that y equals 5. All right, so I have one of them done. Then I'm going to go ahead and substitute that in to my original easy equation, 2y equals x. If I know that y equals 5, this just becomes 2 times 5 equals x. Well, I can say that x is 10 then. So here's one answer. Here's the other answer. I can go ahead and write this out in words that I made 10 2-point shots and 5 3-point shots. All right. Moving on to number 2. It says Joseph found a handful of nickels and dimes in his drawer. As he counted them, he realized he had 7 more dimes than twice the amount of nickels. If the total amount of change was $13.95, how many nickels did he have? Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and declare my variables first. I'm going to say that nickels in blue, dimes in red, x is my nickels, and then y is my dimes. All right, then I have to create some equations. So because this involves money, I have to be really careful here with what exactly a dime is. How much is a dime worth? How much is a nickel worth? Well, a dime is only 10 cents. And 10 cents is only 1/10 of a dollar. So I can't write 10y. I have to write 0.1y. When I create my equation, I'm going to have that something equals 13.95. That's the total amount of money I have, $13.95. And when I create the first part of my equation, so basically something x plus something y. Well, my nickels here are only worth 5 cents, which is 0.05 of a dollar. And then my dimes are only worth 0.1 of a dollar. So out of 1, it's only worth 0.1. So when I write my equation, I have to say 0.5, I'm sorry, I have to say 0.05x plus 0.1y. I can't just say 5x and 1y or 10y. I have to say exactly what they represent. All right. So then moving on. My smartboard stopped working for a second. Okay. Okay, stopped working. Let's go. So I'm going to go ahead and say that to solve this, I can just plug in this for y in my other equation because I have y equals something. So substitution is going to work really well here. So I can say that the other one becomes 0.05x plus 0.1 times this 2x plus 7 equals 1395. And I meant to do this in purple, so I'm going to choose purple now. All right, so now that I have this, I'm going to go ahead and just multiply this through. I'm going to distribute this 0.1 to both those. So I have 0.05x plus 0.1 times 2 gets me 0.2x, and then 0.1 times 7 gets me 0.7 equals 13.95. I'm going to combine this and this to get 0.25x plus 0.7 equals 13.95. And then to get this x part by itself, I'm going to subtract 0.7 from both sides. So I get 0.25x equals 13.25. You're going to want to use your calculator on this one. So then dividing both sides by 0.25, using my solving skills, I get x equals 53. All right, so x equals 53. And then I'm going to plug that back in to this equation here. So if I know that x is 53, I can just put 53 in for x and solve that like normal. So that actually gets me 113. 2 times 53 plus 7. So I have y equals 113, x equals 53, and basically writing my answer, I have 53 nickels and 113 dimes. All right, so there's my answer in words. Okay, let's go to the last one. The sum of two numbers is 98, and the difference is 64. Find the two numbers. I'm just going to call one of these numbers x and one of them y. Simple. If the sum is 98, then x plus y is 98. And if the difference is 64, then x minus y is 64. Remember, the difference is the result of subtraction. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and use elimination here. This is going to work out really well. If I just go ahead and add these two together, I'm going to get x plus x equals 2x, and then y plus a negative y, which is just y minus y, those cancel. Then I get 98 plus 64, which is 162. Then to get x by itself, I can go ahead and just divide by 2. I get x equals 81. And then plugging that back in to this equation here, I can just say that 81 plus y would get me 98. And then I can subtract 81 from both sides to get y by itself. So y equals 17. So here's my two numbers.